Most people will never become successful because they are waiting to feel successful first. They are waiting for proof before they believe. They are waiting for confidence before they move. They are waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right sign, the right person to approve them, the right circumstances to finally make them feel worthy of the life they secretly desire. But success does not come to the person who waits to be chosen. Success comes to the person who has already decided. There is a moment in every life when a person must stop standing at the gate of their own future, waiting for permission to enter. A moment when the mind must stop asking, "Can I really do this?" and begin declaring, "This is what I am becoming." A moment when the old identity, the old excuses, the old fears, and the old hesitation must be left behind like worn-out clothes that no longer belong to the person you are determined to become. Because the world does not usually give evidence to the uncertain. It gives evidence to the committed. Life does not bend itself around the person who merely hopes. It begins to respond to the person who thinks with purpose, speaks with conviction, plans with discipline, and acts as though the result has already been accepted in the mind before it has appeared in the hand. This is what it means to act like success is already yours. It does not mean pretending. It does not mean lying to yourself. It does not mean walking through life with empty confidence while refusing to work, learn, sacrifice, and grow. That is not faith. That is fantasy. True faith is not passive. True faith works. True faith studies. True faith prepares. True faith persists when the crowd is silent, when the results are small, when the road is lonely, when the dream still looks impossible to everyone except the person carrying it. To act like success is already yours means you stop behaving like a person who is begging life for proof. You stop living as though your future is some distant accident waiting to happen. You stop treating your dream like a fragile wish that can be broken by one failure, one criticism, one delay, or one disappointing day. You begin to move as a person under command. You begin to think as a person with direction. You begin to speak as a person who understands that words are not harmless sounds, but seeds planted into the deepest soil of the mind. You begin to work as a person who knows that every hour of discipline is not wasted, even when no one sees it, because the foundation of a great life is always laid in silence before it is ever revealed in public. The man who builds a fortune does not begin with the fortune in his hand. He begins with a definite desire in his mind. The inventor does not begin with applause. He begins with an image that refuses to leave him alone. The leader does not begin with followers. He begins with a purpose strong enough to stand alone before others gather around it. Before the bridge exists, someone must cross it in imagination. Before the business stands, someone must build it in thought. Before the victory is witnessed by the world, someone must win it privately, again and again, in the unseen chamber of belief. That is where success begins, not in the noise. Not in approval, not in comfort, not in perfect conditions. Success begins in the invisible place where desire becomes definite, where faith becomes disciplined, where the mind no longer wanders like a beggar through doubt, but stands like a ruler before circumstance and says, "This is where I am going." Napoleon Hill's philosophy was never about sitting still and wishing softly for life to change. It was about the controlled use of the mind. It was about taking a burning desire and giving it a definite purpose. It was about feeding that purpose with faith, impressing it upon the subconscious mind, organizing plans around it, making decisions without endless hesitation, and persisting long enough for invisible causes to become visible results. This is not magic. This is mental discipline. And in the modern world, mental discipline has become rare. Today, people are surrounded by noise, comparison, distraction, fear, and instant judgment. They can see 1,000 other people succeeding before they have taken one serious step toward their own dream. They measure their beginning against someone else's harvest. They start something on Monday and feel defeated by Friday because the numbers did not move, the applause did not come, the door did not open, and the world did not immediately reward them for beginning. But the world does not reward beginnings. The world rewards becoming. And becoming requires a kind of inner certainty that most people never develop because they abandon themselves too quickly. They say they want success, but they still think like failure is more likely. They say they want wealth, but they still speak like poverty has authority over them. They say they want freedom, but they still live chained to the opinions of people who have never built anything worthy of imitation. They say they want greatness, but they keep negotiating with weakness every time discipline becomes uncomfortable. A person cannot rise above the identity they continue to obey. If you think like a defeated person, you will hesitate like a defeated person. If you speak like a powerless person, you will act like a powerless person. If you imagine failure more vividly than victory, your energy will move toward the thing you fear, not the thing you desire. This is why success must first be claimed in the mind, not claimed with arrogance, claimed with responsibility. You do not say, "Success is mine," and then wait for life to deliver it like a gift. You say, "Success is mine," and then you begin paying the price for the person you must become. You study when others scroll. You practice when others complain. You improve when others make excuses. You persist when others disappear. You build when others are still waiting to feel ready. That is the difference. The person who acts like success is already theirs, does not ask every morning whether the dream still matters. They have already decided. They do not allow mood to become master. They do not allow fear to write the schedule. They do not allow temporary defeat to become permanent identity. They understand that every day is shaping them. Every thought is shaping them. Every decision is shaping them. Every repeated action is shaping them. Every private habit is quietly voting for the future that will eventually arrive. And this is where most people lose the battle, not in one dramatic failure, but in the small daily agreements they make with the life they claim they do not want. They agree to delay. They agree to distraction. They agree to self-doubt. They agree to comfort. They agree to the voice that says, "Not today, not yet, you are not ready, you are not capable, maybe later." But later is where dreams go to die, when decision is absent. You cannot build a powerful future with a mind that keeps postponing its own transformation. There must come a point when you stop asking life to make you feel ready and start acting with the readiness you wish you had. There must come a point when you no longer wait for confidence, because you understand that confidence is not the beginning of action. Confidence is the reward of action repeated with courage. The first step may tremble. Take it anyway. The first attempt may be imperfect. Make it anyway. The first plan may need correction. Begin it anyway. Because the road does not reveal itself to the person staring from a distance. It reveals itself to the person in motion. And once you begin moving, something awakens inside you that sleeping desire could never awaken. A person can dream for years and remain unchanged. They can imagine a better life, speak about a better life, envy a better life, and still remain exactly where they are, because imagination without movement becomes nothing more than emotional entertainment. But the moment a person acts, even imperfectly, the mind receives a new command. It no longer sees the dream as a distant fantasy. It begins to see the dream as a direction. Action gives faith a body. Action gives desire a voice. Action tells the subconscious mind, "This is not merely something I wish for. This is something I am becoming." And when that message is repeated day after day, through discipline, decision, and persistence, the inner world begins to reorganize. The thoughts that once weakened you begin to lose authority. The fears that once ruled you begin to shrink. The excuses that once sounded reasonable begin to sound like chains. You start to recognize that the life you have been living was not only created by circumstances, but also by the instructions you accepted, repeated, and obeyed. Many people are not imprisoned by locked doors. They are imprisoned by repeated thoughts. They have told themselves the same story for so long that they mistake it for truth. I am not ready. I am not talented. People like me do not succeed. It is too late. I do not have enough. I tried before. The world is against me. And because these thoughts have been repeated with feeling, they have become invisible masters. But a belief is not a fact simply because it has lived in your mind for years. A belief can be challenged. A belief can be replaced. A belief can be starved by refusing to feed it attention. A belief can be overpowered by a stronger idea, repeated with greater emotion, supported by stronger action, and protected by a definite purpose. This is the work, not merely to want success, but to become mentally available for it. Not merely to desire a different life, but to remove from the mind every thought that makes that life impossible before the work has even begun. There are people who ask for abundance while thinking in lack every hour of the day. They ask for confidence while rehearsing weakness. They ask for opportunity while preparing themselves only for disappointment. They ask for greatness while secretly expecting defeat. And when defeat comes, they call it fate, never realizing that their dominant mental attitude had been preparing the way for it long before it arrived. The mind is not neutral. It is always building something. Every dominant thought is a worker. Every emotion is a tool. Every repeated belief is a blueprint. And over time, the house of your life begins to resemble the plans you have allowed your mind to follow. This is why you must guard your inner conversation as if your future depends on it, because it does. The person who acts like success is already theirs does not allow their mind to become a public road where every fear, every opinion, every criticism, every memory of failure, and every voice of doubt can travel freely. They become the gatekeeper. They decide what enters. They decide what stays. They decide what receives emotional power. They understand that self-talk is not small. The words you speak silently to yourself become the climate of your spirit. If that climate is always cold with doubt, nothing strong can grow. If it is always storming with fear, your finest ideas will struggle to take root. But if the climate within you is warmed by faith, strengthened by purpose, and protected by discipline, then even a small seed of possibility can become a forest. You do not need the whole world to believe in you at the beginning. You need to stop betraying yourself with the words you repeat when no one is listening. There is a reason the strongest achievers often appear unreasonable before they appear successful. They carry certainty before evidence. They carry vision before applause. They carry discipline before recognition. They behave according to a future that other people cannot yet see, and because others cannot see it, they often mock it, question it, or misunderstand it. But the person with a definite purpose cannot afford to live by the eyesight of the crowd. The crowd usually sees what is. Vision sees what can be. The crowd respects results after they are obvious. Vision respects results before they are visible. The crowd waits until the mountain has been climbed to cheer the climber. Vision begins climbing while the mountain is still covered in fog. This is why you must not let the disbelief of others become evidence against your dream. Most people judge your future by your present condition. They look at where you are, what you have done so far, and they assume that is the limit of what you can become. But they do not see the decision forming inside you. They do not see the burning desire that wakes you in the dark. They do not see the plans being shaped, the knowledge being gathered, the discipline being built, the old identity being destroyed. They see the seed and laugh because it is not yet a tree. But a seed does not need the approval of the forest to begin growing. It only needs the right conditions, persistent nourishment, and time. So it is with your purpose. You must nourish it when it is still small. You must protect it when it is still fragile. You must continue when there is no visible reason to continue except the command inside you that says, keep going. The world may not understand you in the beginning. That is not your problem. Your responsibility is not to be understood by everyone. Your responsibility is to become so aligned with your purpose that misunderstanding no longer has the power to make you abandon it. A weak desire dies when questioned. A burning desire becomes stronger when challenged. And the way you know whether your desire is burning is simple. Look at what you continue to do when emotion fades. Anyone can be passionate when the idea is new. Anyone can speak with confidence when the room is supportive. Anyone can believe when results are appearing quickly. But the real test of desire is what remains after excitement disappears and only discipline is left. That is where the dream becomes serious. That is where the amateur turns back and the builder begins. Because the builder understands that success is not an event that suddenly arrives. It is a structure formed through repetition. It is built in the invisible hours. It is built in the decisions no one praises. It is built in the refusal to lower the standard when no one would notice. It is built in the discipline to do the work while the mind is still arguing, while the body is still tired, while the results are still distant. And this is why acting like success is already yours must never be confused with acting as though the work is already finished. Success belongs to you in the mind first, but it must be earned in conduct. You claim it inwardly so you can pursue it outwardly with power. You see it before it arrives so you can prepare a place for it. You believe it before it is visible so you can endure the season when it appears impossible. Because every great achievement demands a period of invisibility. There is always a season when the roots are growing, but the surface still looks empty. And this is the season that separates those who merely want success from those who are willing to become successful. Anyone can admire the harvest. Anyone can celebrate the finished building. Anyone can respect the fortune after it has been made, the invention after it has worked, the leader after the victory has been won. But very few have the strength to honor the unseen work before the world recognizes its value. This is why you must learn to respect the invisible season. The days when nothing seems to be changing are often the days when everything is being prepared. The discipline you think is unnoticed is shaping your character. The study you think is slow is sharpening your mind. The failures you think are delaying you are training your judgment. The silence you think is rejection is building your independence. The pressure you think is against you is strengthening the part of you that will one day be required to carry more. A person who acts like success is already theirs does not waste the invisible season complaining that no one can see the growth. They use it. They understand that obscurity is not punishment. Obscurity is training. It gives you room to make mistakes without the weight of public judgment. It gives you space to refine your skill before the demand arrives. It gives you time to build strength before responsibility becomes heavy. Many people want to be discovered before they are developed. They want attention before preparation. They want reward before refinement. They want influence before wisdom. They want opportunity before they have become the kind of person who can hold opportunity without wasting it. But success has a way of exposing the unprepared. If money comes before discipline, it disappears. If recognition comes before character, it corrupts. If opportunity comes before knowledge, it overwhelms. If influence comes before purpose, it becomes vanity. This is why the waiting season is not wasted when it is used correctly. It is not life denying you. It may be life preparing you to receive what you once would have destroyed. So do not curse the preparation. Do not despise the small beginning. Do not look at your current position and call it proof that your vision is impossible. The present is not a prison unless the mind accepts it as final. Your current condition is material. It is clay. It is the raw substance from which a stronger life can be shaped if you bring to it desire, decision, imagination, knowledge, planning, faith, and persistence. The problem is not that most people lack possibility. The problem is that they lack command over their own attention. They give attention to fear, and fear grows. They give attention to comparison, and envy grows. They give attention to criticism, and insecurity grows. They give attention to distraction, and weakness grows. Then they wonder why their desire has no power. Desire must be protected. A great purpose cannot survive in a mind that feeds every opposing thought. You cannot plant a garden and water the weeds more faithfully than the seed. You cannot build confidence while rehearsing defeat every day. You cannot create a powerful future while giving your strongest emotional energy to the fear that it will never happen. This is why the person who acts like success is already theirs becomes selective. Selective with thoughts, selective with words, selective with people, selective with habits, selective with environments, selective with what enters the eyes, what reaches the ears, what occupies the imagination, and what receives the emotion of the heart. Because every influence is either strengthening your purpose or weakening it. There are conversations that leave you smaller. There are environments that make your dream feel foolish. There are people who do not need to attack your future directly. They only need to keep you comfortable in your old identity. They remind you of who you have been so often that you begin to forget who you intended to become. But you must be careful. Not everyone who knows your past is qualified to speak over your future. A person may love you and still not understand the size of what is calling you. A person may be close to you and still be limited in vision. A person may give advice that sounds practical, but is really fear wearing the mask of wisdom. And if you are not careful, you will spend your life shrinking your destiny to fit the comfort of people who never had the courage to follow their own. This does not mean you become arrogant. It means you become responsible. You stop handing the steering wheel of your life to every opinion. You stop allowing the doubtful to vote on your vision. You stop explaining your dream to minds that are committed to misunderstanding it. You stop living as if approval is oxygen. The successful mind must be independent enough to stand alone and humble enough to keep learning. That balance is rare. Some people become confident and stop growing. Others keep learning but never develop confidence. The person who truly advances does both. They believe with intensity, but they also improve with honesty. They carry faith in the goal, but they remain flexible in the plan. They do not abandon the destination because one road is blocked. They adapt, they adjust, they study. They seek specialized knowledge. They find better methods. They surround themselves with minds that expand their thinking. This is where organized planning becomes the bridge between vision and achievement. A dream without a plan is a fire without a furnace. It may burn brightly for a moment, but it cannot be directed. It cannot produce power. It cannot sustain movement. The person who acts like success is already theirs does not merely imagine the outcome. They prepare for it in detail. They ask, what must I learn? They ask, what skill must I sharpen? They ask, what habit must I remove? They ask, what plan must I test? They ask, who has knowledge I do not yet possess? They ask, what would the successful version of me do today? That question can change a life when it is asked honestly, because the successful version of you is not waiting somewhere in the future like a stranger. That person is being formed right now by your repeated choices. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you call that person closer. Every time you choose courage over fear, you call that person closer. Every time you choose learning over ego, you call that person closer. Every time you continue after disappointment, you call that person closer. And eventually, what once felt like an act becomes your nature. At first, you act disciplined while still feeling undisciplined. You act confident while still hearing doubt. You act focused while distraction still pulls at you. You act persistent while discouragement still whispers. But if you continue long enough, the action begins to educate the emotion. The habit begins to reshape the identity. The repeated command begins to carve a new path through the mind. This is how a person is remade. not in one emotional moment, but through 1,000 quiet victories over the former self. The former self wants ease. The future self requires effort. The former self wants certainty before movement. The future self knows certainty is built through movement. The former self wants praise. The future self wants progress. The former self asks, "What if I fail?" The future self asks, "What will failure teach me?" And the day you begin answering life from the future self instead of the former self, everything changes. Everything changes because you are no longer negotiating with the part of you that was trained by fear. You are no longer asking weakness for permission to become strong. You are no longer asking doubt whether your dream is worthy. You are no longer asking your past to approve a future it has never seen. You begin to understand that the old self cannot lead you into a new life. It can only repeat what it already knows. So you must become the commander of your own mind. You must rise each day and give your mind its orders before the world gives it confusion. You must remind yourself of your purpose before distraction reminds you of comfort. You must speak faith before fear speaks first. You must build the image of your future so clearly, so repeatedly, so emotionally, that your daily actions begin to move toward it as naturally as a river moves toward the sea. This is not done once. It is done every day. The mind must be trained as the body is trained. No person becomes strong by lifting a weight one time. No person becomes disciplined by making one good decision. No person becomes successful by believing only when belief is easy. The power comes from repetition. The transformation comes from consistency. The identity is shaped by what you return to again and again, especially when the emotion has faded. There will be days when your faith feels weak. Continue. There will be days when your plan seems slow. Improve it. There will be days when your results appear small. Build anyway. There will be days when other people move faster, receive more attention, make more progress, or appear to have advantages you do not possess. Do not surrender your purpose to comparison. Comparison is a thief that enters through the eyes and steals strength from the heart. It makes you forget that every great life has its own season, its own timing, its own hidden battles, its own private cost. You do not know the weight another person carried to reach the place you envy. And even if their road was easier, that does not make your road impossible. Your task is not to copy another person's path. Your task is to become faithful to your own. In this modern world, where every screen can show you someone ahead of you, you must protect the sacredness of your beginning. You must be able to build while unseen, improve while unnoticed, and continue while uncelebrated. You must learn to use other people's success as evidence that achievement is possible, not as evidence that you are behind. The person who acts like success is already theirs does not panic because someone else is winning. They return to the work. They return to the plan. They return to the purpose. They understand that persistence is not loud. It does not always feel heroic. Sometimes persistence is simply doing the next right thing when quitting would be easier. Sometimes it is studying one more hour, trying one more method, making one more call, writing one more page, recording one more video, improving one more detail, correcting one more mistake. And over time, these small acts begin to gather force. The world calls it luck when the result finally appears, but it was not luck. It was desire that refused to die. It was faith repeated in silence. It was autosuggestion made practical through action. It was imagination turned into plans. It was specialized knowledge gathered through humility. It was decision made before conditions were perfect. It was persistence carried through the valley where most dreams are buried. That is why you must not despise the small act. A single disciplined hour may look insignificant, but it is not. It is a declaration. A single brave decision may look small, but it is not. It is a turning point. A single refusal to quit may look invisible, but it is not. It is the moment your future self is strengthened. The outer world changes slowly because the inner world must first become stable enough to sustain what is coming. There is no victory in receiving what you are not prepared to keep. There is no freedom in reaching a level your character cannot support. There is no lasting success when the habits remain weak, the purpose remains vague, and the mind remains uncontrolled. So prepare yourself as if the opportunity is already on its way. Prepare your discipline. Prepare your knowledge. Prepare your character. Prepare your courage. Prepare your environment. Prepare your mind. Do not wait until the door opens to become the person who can walk through it. Become that person now. Walk like it now. Work like it now. Think like it now. Decide like it now. Speak to yourself like it now. Carry yourself like someone who understands that the future is not built by chance, but by the repeated command of a definite purpose. And when the storms come, do not mistake them for the end. Storms do not only destroy, they reveal. They reveal what is rooted and what is weak. They reveal what was built on emotion and what was built on conviction. They reveal whether your desire was a passing feeling or a burning purpose. They reveal whether you were merely interested in success or truly committed to becoming the kind of person success requires. Every obstacle is asking you a question. How serious are you? Every delay is asking you a question. Will you continue without applause? Every failure is asking you a question. Will you learn or will you surrender? Every criticism is asking you a question. Do you believe your vision more than you fear their opinion? Answer with your conduct, not with empty words, not with temporary excitement, not with promises made in moments of inspiration and forgotten in moments of pressure. Answer with the way you live. Answer with the hour you protect. Answer with the discipline you repeat. Answer with the decision you refuse to abandon. Because one day, the life that now exists only in your imagination will begin to take shape in reality. The thing you once saw only in your mind will become something others can see. The effort that once felt invisible will become undeniable. The discipline that once felt lonely will become the foundation of freedom. The faith that once looked unreasonable will look to others like destiny. And when that day comes, people may say you changed, but you will know the truth. You did not change in one day. You changed in the hidden days. You changed when you kept going without proof. You changed when you acted successful before success appeared. You changed when you stopped waiting to feel worthy and began living like someone responsible for a great purpose. You changed when you stopped begging life for evidence and became the evidence. So act like success is already yours. Act like your purpose matters. Act like your thoughts are shaping your future. Act like your words are planting seeds. Act like your habits are building an empire. Act like your discipline is preparing you for a door you cannot yet see. Act like every failure is instruction, every delay is preparation, every obstacle is training, and every day is another chance to become the person your dream requires. Not because the road will be easy, not because the world will always understand, not because fear will disappear, but because you have decided that your life will not be governed by hesitation. You have decided that your future will not be left to accident. You have decided that your mind will not be a servant of doubt, but an instrument of creation. And once a person has truly decided, deeply decided, with desire in the heart, faith in the mind, discipline in the body, and persistence in the soul, they become difficult to discourage, difficult to defeat, and impossible to stop. The world may delay them. The world may test them. The world may misunderstand them, but it cannot permanently hold back the person who has already won the battle within, because success does not first arrive in the hand. It first rises in the mind. It first takes command of belief. It first changes the way a person walks through uncertainty. And when you carry yourself as though your purpose is real, when you prepare as though the opportunity is coming, when you persist as though the result is inevitable, and when you live each day under the authority of the person you are becoming, life eventually begins to reflect the decision you made long before anyone else could see it. Act like success is already yours, and then work until the world has no choice but to agree.